Zehoovians. Welcome to our second Zehoo at home video. We're going to be looking at Pesach again in a crafty kind of way, as you may be able to tell from what's on the table in front of me. I hope you had fun making your matzah. We made ours at our normal Zehoo time on Sunday morning, and we had it with chocolate spread and with sprinkles, and it was pretty yummy. Now today I want us to make a little version of the burning bush. Now the burning bush, of course, from the story of Pesach, is how God spoke to Moshe, right? And yet the bush was burning up, and yet wasn't being consumed by the flames. And I thought we could actually make our own of those and make it look pretty cool. So you're going to need a few little bits and pieces. You're going to need some plant matter from the garden. Best if it has a bit of an empty space on the twig, so you can peel off any of the extra leaves. This one had extra leaves on. I just peeled it off to have a stem, right? You choose whichever you like, and some of them, if they're Australian natives, will have a really nice smell. Some of them have a really nice smell when you're out there looking in the garden. I made a little stand for it, so I've used an old toothpaste container, and I've just glued some brown paper on it and make a little hole in the top. You might need a grown-up to make a hole in the top using scissors, just a little hole, so your piece of plant can stand up in it, like that. Maybe I made the hole a bit too big on that one. Okay. The second thing, or the next thing you're going to need, is some flames, right? I have got here orange and red and yellow paper, and I've made a little sort of pile of them together, so I make a sandwich. And if you take a small amount of them, so they're sandwiched together, and then you start to just cut little squiggly shapes to be the flames. They don't have to be perfect. In fact, some of them look like this, like flames would look, yeah? And then some of them can just be the edges of that. They don't have to be perfect at all, unless, of course, you're very bored at home and you would like to do something that's absolutely perfect, in which case, go for gold. So once you've cut them all up, right, and you've got your little box and you've got your twig, you're going to need some glue. This bit gets messy, which is great because we're stuck at home and we're bored. So make some mess. A little bit of glue and stick it onto a bit of the plant. You might want to take another color, put glue on that one, and stick it on the other side of the leaf, like that. And you work around all the leaves, whatever sort of material you've used from the garden. Oh, sometimes it wants to stick to me and it can get a little bit frustrating, but that's okay, just keep working at it. It's not like we're in a rush to go anywhere else at the moment, are we? Okay, so hopefully you've been keeping yourselves busy, having a bit of fun. Bang, sorry about that, everyone. All right, so there you go. Well, anyway, that one's stuck. So I'm going to read a book to you about Pesach while you guys hopefully are making your own. And I would love to see pictures of yours when you're done with them, if you would like. So here is the story of Passover. I'm going to say Pesach because I prefer it that way. And again, this is courtesy, thank you to PJ Library for this book. This one's by David A. Adler and illustrated by Jill Weber. So, the story of Passover, Pesach, begins more than 3,000 years ago, when Jacob and his family settled in Egypt. Jacob was called Israel, and his family were called the children of Israel. They were also called Hebrews because of the language they spoke. Here's a picture. Beautifully illustrated, this one, isn't it? Many years passed. Jacob and his children had all died. To the Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, the children of Israel were outsiders. He was afraid that one day they would rebel, which means to rise up against him and do their own thing. To control them, he made them slaves. He forced them to do hard work. They were beaten. Some were killed. So here's Pharaoh sitting on his throne, looking very stern, forbidding. And here are the slaves being beaten with whips, being forced to carry heavy things. It would be a horrible thing to be a slave, wouldn't it? The wise men of Egypt told the Pharaoh that one day a Hebrew boy would be born, who would lead his people against Egypt. They couldn't tell him which boy it would be, so the Pharaoh decreed that every newborn Hebrew boy must be thrown into the river and drowned. In this depiction, it looks like there were crocodiles or alligators that might eat them as well. Awful! Did everyone do that? One boy was saved. At first, his mother hid him. Then, when he grew too big to hide, she placed him in a small basket. She put the basket in the river. The baby's sister, Miriam, hid nearby to see what would happen. A princess, the Pharaoh's daughter, found the baby. She named him Moshe and planned to raise him as her own child. You can see there's Moshe's mum crying as she kisses him on the head, sending him off into the river. He looks pretty happy, but I think he's just fallen asleep in there. I don't think he'd be happy. Miriam ran to her, to the Pharaoh's daughter. "Should I get you someone to help you with the baby?" "Yes," the princess said. Miriam brought the baby's mother to work in the palace, her mother as well. Moshe was adopted by the princess, but he knew he was one of the children of Israel. When he was a young man, he saw an Egyptian beat a slave. Moshe attacked the Egyptian and killed him. Then he ran away. Ran a long way away. Moshe settled far from Egypt. See that? He married and worked as a shepherd. One day while Moshe was watching his sheep, he saw a burning bush. There were flames, but the bush wasn't harmed. "Moshe, Moshe," a voice called from the bush. "Yes, here I am." God spoke to Moshe from the burning bush. He told Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. So here's a picture of the burning bush. Is yours looking at all like this yet? How's it coming along? Okay. Moshe and his older brother Aaron went to the Pharaoh. They asked him to let the children of Israel go free. The Pharaoh refused. He forced the children of Israel to work even harder. Moshe and Aaron warned him that if he didn't let the Hebrews go, the waters of Egypt would turn to blood. The Pharaoh said, "No," and the waters turned to blood. There's Moshe putting his staff into the water, and as the water goes along, it turns to blood. Dam. That was the first plague to strike Egypt. There were 10. Frogs covered the land. A thick cloud of lice. Ooh. Have you ever had lice? Makes you itch and scratch. Oh, it's awful. Imagine that. Oh, everyone had lice. Animals ran wild. The Egyptians' cattle became terribly sick and died. Wild animals with their teeth. And dying cattle. So things were looking pretty grim, pretty dire. Painful boils broke out on the skin of the Egyptians. Huge hailstones mixed with fire fell on the land. Imagine fire and ice and the boils all over their bodies. A swarm of locusts attacked Egypt, ate up all the crops. It was as dark as night in the middle of the day. And imagine, no electricity. You couldn't just turn the torch on your phone and be able to move around and see stuff. It was dark. Then came the 10th plague. One by one, the firstborn Egyptian sons died. The angel of death only visited the homes of the Egyptians. He passed over, the homes of the children of Israel. Because if you see in the background, I'm not sure how easily you can see this. These are the children of Israel painting. That's actually not paint. That is blood on top of their doors to mark, "No please, no thank you, angel of death, pass over." The Pharaoh was frightened. He was a firstborn son. He called for Moshe and Aaron. "Leave now," he told them. "Go quickly before we all die." He sends them off. So, blood didn't bother him too much. Frogs, it's all right. Lice, boils, we can live with all that, but not death. The children of Israel left that very night. The next day, the Pharaoh had a change of heart. He and his family chased after the former slaves. The Pharaoh's soldiers had horses, and their chariots were getting closer and closer to the children of Israel. The Red Sea was in front of them. The soldiers were behind them. They seemed trapped. But we know they didn't stay trapped. Do you remember what happened? God told Moses to lift his stick and to spread his hands over the sea. Moshe did, and the sea divided. The children of Israel walked through the sea on dry land. See, it's splitting aside. There they're able to pass. You can see the fish swimming. The Pharaoh's army followed them. Then, when the soldiers were in the midst of the sea, Moshe raised his stick again. The waters flooded together. The Egyptians drowned, and the children of Israel were free. On Pesach, Jewish people all over the world celebrate their freedom from slavery and their beginnings as a great nation. See the picture? Now, on the back of this book is also a picture of the Seder plate. Now you have a good look at that, because next week we're going to do a craft based on this little hint. Now, how's your tree going along? How's your burning bush going along? This is the one I was working on. I obviously wasn't able to keep working on it because I was busy reading to you, but we will pull this one out for the time being, and instead I will show you one that I did earlier. So there's my burning bush, consumed by flames, and yet still green. Or burning but not consumed by flames, pardon me. So if you would like to send me a picture of yours with you holding it or not, or if you just want to tell me you did it or not at all, no worries. But it would be great to see it. Now this is goodbye for now, shalom for now, and I look forward to seeing you as soon as possible. Be well, stay well, and I'm doing this before Shabbat, so Shabbat Shalom.